Everybody, this is Perch. Where are comics sold? Um, I don't, this isn't that much of a mystery, but it kind of becomes some because there's this perpetual, I think, urban legend is maybe the way, old wives' tale. I don't know. What's the term you want to use here? That there are lots of sales happening for comics somewhere else. It's always like, well, you look at the direct numbers, comic is doing great there. Oh, it's not doing great there. Well, it's doing great somewhere else. It's doing great on digital. Well, it's not doing great on digital. Okay, it's always somewhere else. The comic is doing great. So eventually, you kind of hunt around. You become like Sherlock Holmes, and you're just trying to kind of figure out where are all the comics being sold. And so let's take stock for a moment and say where where are the comics at? So we've got the direct market. The direct market are comic shops. That's your comic shop down the street. It could be big. It could be your Midtown Comics. Could be your Big Bang Comics. Could be your Golden Age Collectibles. I don't know why I always go back to those three. I like Golden Age Collectibles. Tony is a great guy. If you're in the Seattle area, Tony will always help you out. He's great. Regardless, that's the direct market. And then you have digital. And digital is typically kind of comes in two ways. You have your Comixology, and you have your kind of all you can eat, your DC Infinite, your Marvel Unlimited, your services like that. And that's where, they're very, very different. Now, Comixology is, pay as you play. You buy a comic, there's discounts and other things that happen there. And the Unlimited is, you're basically buying in and you get access to these comics for a subscription fee, kind of all you can eat, the Netflix model, but the comics are delayed. So Comixology, you get them day and date. The other services, you have to wait. They're advancing it. I think it's at 90 days now, but they're trying to advance it. In both cases, digital doesn't have everything. There's lots of content that's not there. So, and it feels like somebody is kind of randomly throwing darts at a wall to determine what old content gets converted. But maybe there's method to that madness. I haven't been able to parse it if there is, but that's where comics can be. Now, once you get past those areas, now you're into kind of what becomes a very mystical kind of world. There is the great and terrible Scholastic, and this is where comics are sold kind of via the schools or via the website, and they're promoted through a very, very different channel. Now, not all comics are sold via Scholastic. In fact, many are not. And it's really important to underline that kind of multiple times. And Scholastic does also tend to keep a pretty strong lid on things. And what I mean by that is they're usually going to preference content that they make more money off of. That means if they're publishing it directly themselves, or if they have a different deal with the vendor, they will tend to market that stuff more. Marvel is not one of those vendors. They may have been at the past. At times, you'll see Marvel content show up there, but in general, it's dodgy. DC Superheroes Girls has shown up there. Moon Girl has shown up there. Squirrel Girl, I think the first one showed up there. It's also been spotty. Again, it's when you talk about Scholastic, I think some people have in their heads that Scholastic is just like it's another direct market where you can get floppies and you can get everything, and you're not getting floppies, you're getting trades, and in some cases very specialized content for Scholastic. In some cases they take content that wasn't the floppies and they've reprinted it a different way for Scholastic, but it's not the same. It's not inclusive of all of the content that's made. Then you have places like Walmart, that has those DC digests. Target has sold them as well. You have that kind of channel, and then you have Amazon, and Amazon is just basically has tons of stuff. They have access to some back issues through third parties that are doing stuff, but mostly it's graphic novels, it's new booksellers. And there's a news story out right now that more and more publishers are kind of abandoning Diamond to go to, was it Random House, a different service, Simon and Schuster, I think that was what it was. Anyway, they're basically saying rather than vend, we deliver our stuff to Diamond and then Diamond delivers it to Amazon. They're going through other sources. That's an interesting story to watch, by the way, because I think that is a chunk of money that if and certainly it's a long-term upside that if it does truly leave Diamond entirely. Boom and others have already done this. Vault, AWA are all using other sources outside of Diamond to deliver to Amazon. If everybody, in particular the big guys, flee, That's potentially more catastrophic, I would say, to Diamond long term. Lots of people would disagree. If you're probably already sitting there at your computer going, "Oh, wait," but I'm thinking long term potential. That's I'm making an assumption that the future of a lot of graphic novel and distribution is going to happen through Amazon, not through Barnes and Noble, not through physical brick and mortar stores, but actually that Amazon's going to control a lot of that. That's my belief, that's what's coming. So if that's true, then people now bypassing Diamond to go through another source is bad news. So where else are comics sold? We're kind of at the end. There are definitely other places. There's other places comics can show up, but we're now into like the 1%. We're into the tiny fraction of other material. You can get them through Barnes and Noble, certainly. I thought Barnes and Noble was doing more traffic than they are, but their numbers are actually very small, considering they're a fraction of Amazon, which in many cases are also small. So that's where it's at. Are there other sources? I may be absolutely ignorant and forgetting a major source. I am absolutely either forgetting or deliberately omitting places like in some cases there's publishers that have had some deals with with like college bookstores and other very unique places like that to get content kind of directly distributed. It happens. It's just not sizable. You're not talking about anything that's moving any numbers. If you're talking about places that have 5% or more of the market, I've listed them. That's what you got. It goes along to other videos I've made where the distribution of comics, where it's going, where they're sold at, is a pretty big deal. It's the big deal. That's the number one way to get the market up, because right now you are basically relying on three pillars. If you're comics, you're relying on Amazon, you're relying on the direct market, and you're relying on digital. The problems you have is that digital is still insignificant. The Marvel Unlimited subscriber numbers are relatively small. The Comixology numbers continue to hover around 6%, which is actually down a bit from what was sold in the direct market. If you think about it, that's miserable. And I get why people will say, oh no, the digital has to be doing better. Well, you'd think that because the digital storefront for these books are everywhere. If you have a tablet, you have a computer, you can get there. It's not, the direct market, it's, everything's confined to your local comic shop. So the idea that digital is such a fraction of a percentage of the direct market, which is a fraction of the percentage of everything else, that's bad. That's just not what it should be. But digital is not growing in the US. The all-you-can-eat platforms are also not growing, and the challenge is a lot of the way that people are paid and comics are produced and everything else, it doesn't lend itself to that model. It's why you're seeing in Hollywood, studios struggle a little bit to adopt Netflix. Netflix built itself kind of from the ground up to be what it is. Having these other companies try and convert themselves to become like Netflix is costly, painful, and tough. And so comics suddenly just trying to kind of go all into an all-you-can-eat model, it's going to drive down prices of what of what people are paid, not what you're paying. So anyway, a lot of factors there. The nuts and bolts of this are though that that is what we're talking about. And again, please, I will welcome the criticism if somebody can come into the comics and go, aha, you forgot about this massive place where a ton of comics are being sold. I'm all ears. Let me hear it. And by the way, I'm talking about North American comics. I'm not talking about manga. I'm not talking about European comics. I'm talking about what the current situation here is in North America. That's what we've got. And so when we talk about, what needs to improve or what needs to change or where things are at or all the rest, this is the elephant in the room. We are relying still on the direct market. The direct market runs the show, and the direct market is troubled. It's tapped. It's stretched extremely thin. It's suffering from all the problems of just retail is having in general everywhere. and it's it's not a sustainable model. So, in order to, if we're talking about comics, and I say this as somebody who, of course, has lived the direct market, loves the direct market, has operated in, will operate again, and has invested in the direct market currently. It's the direct market alone can't keep this whole thing in place. Digital has not brought up the slack. Amazon is kind of a wild card, and there is content selling there. But I mean, like, take a look at the brand new Naomi book. It is dropping like a rock right now in the standings. Go to, you can see this for yourself. Go to Amazon, search for Naomi, look at its current placement in the top books sold. What's the number, and just check back every few days. It started around, it was up at 4,000 at one point as its ranking. It's down past 10 now. This is in less than a week. It's dropping. The Amazon market for comics has yet to be proved out to be sustainable. Yeah, you can sell Watchmen there over and over and over, but you can't sell the other stuff. A lot of trade paperbacks are dying there. They're just, it becomes, cash salvaging is basically what that market is, and that's not going to save it. So anyway, that's clarification. That's the market. That's what we're looking at. That's what needs to happen. No, I didn't mention crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is another place, of course. Boom is using it. A lot of independent people are using it. That's one reason why you see these companies trying to get into crowdfunding, because it becomes another source. That's why I think crowdfunding is a good idea. But there's a fundamental problem just of comics. The challenge you have with crowdfunding is that people have to already be interested in comics and be kind of routed there in order to get them going. It's not a discovery platform. It's I'm already in it. I'm already loving comics, and I want a particular type of comic, so I'll go to crowdfunding. Again, nothing wrong with that. We need it as an industry, but that's not discovery. So let me know. Tell me where I messed up. Tell me where these amazing other sources are. We'll run to them. Part of this is I post the numbers videos, and I will get flames from time to time, like, hey, you forgot about this. And it's like, okay. I got a big flame over the America Chavez, numbers. It's like, you forgot about Scholastic. It's like, it wasn't sold through Scholastic. So what are you talking about? Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Let me know. Let me know what I missed. Thanks for listening.